One of the most important aspects of Google Analytics is metrics and dimensions. And these really deserve more than a mention in the definitions video. You see, these are the real meat of Google Analytics. Every report is built on dimensions and metrics, so it's essential that you fully grasp how they work before we proceed. As we learned briefly earlier, dimensions describe characteristics of your users. Say their traffic source, their browser, their city, or the landing page they arrived on. Metrics are quantitative measurements, such as the number of page views, the number of new users, or the revenue on a particular goal. Now, to better demonstrate metrics and dimensions, I've gone ahead and pulled up the location report within the audience section. As I scroll down, this is how you'll most commonly see metrics and dimensions presented, in a table similar to this. Here along the top of the screen, you'll see the primary dimension options that are available to us, and country is bolded because that's the primary dimension that's been selected. And you'll see this again in the first column of this table view where country is listed. It's here that we can see the particular values of this dimension. In this case, United States, India, the United Kingdom, Canada, and so on. The metrics are all this data here on the right-hand side. So we can see session metrics for the United States are 7,474. We can see how many new users came to the United States, which is 4,901. Now remember, these metrics are specific to the date range that you've selected, the view that you're in, and any segments that you've applied. Now we're going to talk more on segments later, but it's a good idea to always double-check your views, segments, and dates if you're looking at data that feels like it might be off. Now along the top here, we have the option to change this dimension, so we can switch our primary dimension from country to city. Here under city, we can see the data's changed to show Mountain View, New York, San Francisco, London, and so on. And the metrics have all changed to reflect the various data points specific to that dimension. In most analytics reports, you can add a secondary dimension by selecting from the drop-down menu labeled Secondary Dimension. In this case, Google's going to show you all of the available dimensions that can be added, and it's going to show you the recommended dimensions at the top. As I select the drop-down arrow, I can pick any additional dimension that I'd like to apply. Let's choose Browser. Now, oftentimes, it's really valuable to include secondary dimensions as a way to better understand your data. So here, I can see the two dimensions, Mountain View and Chrome, and I can see the metrics that are associated with both of those dimensions together. So this tells me that there are 754 sessions for people in Mountain View using Chrome. Now, you'll notice that Chrome is very popular as it's showing up mostly in this view. To see how this looks a little different, I'm going to do a quick filter. I selected the advanced option in the upper right-hand corner, and I'm going to choose Include City Containing Mountain View. I'll then choose Apply. And here we can better see how comparing two dimensions can be useful. In this view, I now can see all the browsers associated with this particular dimension, in this case Mountain View, and I can see the corresponding sessions. And this helps me understand the popularity of this particular browser for folks in this area. You'll notice that there are a lot of metrics associated with particular dimensions, but that doesn't mean that every metric can be combined with every dimension. Each dimension and metric has a scope. They can be user level, session level, or hit level. A hit level is your most basic. This is a single action that is taken. A session is all the actions or hits a user takes on your site in one session, and user level dimensions are things like browser version and location. So for example, let's say that a user comes to your site and spends 5 minutes. In that 5-minute period, they view 3 pages. That 5 minutes is going to be their session. There are 3 hits for those 3 page views. That's how the particular data is separated between a hit level and a session level. So in most cases, it'll only make sense to combine dimensions and metrics that share the same scope. So a session-based metric can only be used with session-level dimensions. It wouldn't be logical to combine sessions with an action level or hit level like a page. To show you more about the available dimensions and metrics, I'm going to switch to another screen that you use for creating customized reports. Now, we're not actually going to be talking about creating a customized report. I just want to use this as a tool to more specifically show you the types of metrics and dimensions that are available so you can start to get an idea of how these work. In Google, you'll always find that metrics are blue and dimensions are green. Here in the metric groups, I'm going to select Add Metric. And this is a great way to see all of the available metrics that are within Google Analytics. Here we can see behavior, percent of sessions with search, average page load time, crashes, document load time, event values, and so on. You'll notice that there are many metrics available to you. I'll select Add Dimension to view all the available dimensions. Here we can see acquisition dimensions such as medium, referral path, source, advertising such as ad formats, ad groups, and so on. Hopefully, that helps you identify the specific differences between metrics and dimensions. So, to recap, dimensions are the characteristics of your users and their sessions, and metrics are the quantitative measurements, the sums, the averages, and ratios that describe their behavior.